That's 100% the mindset shift that people have to go through when they're deciding that they want to either change careers, stop working, or make work optional. It's not about how much wealth there is sitting in places. It's about the income, for sure.
Financial independence,
freedom,
financial picture,
independent financially,
financial future,
financial freedom and wealth,
financial independence.
Get your fill, financial independence and long life. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Get Your Fill, Financial Independence and Long Life, where we explore ways to achieve those two goals. And actually today, we're really lucky because Kathleen Adams is with us and she's going to help us do both. Have financial independence while we're living a long life. Kathleen Adams is a CFP and a CPWA. And if you don't know what that is, stay tuned. She's done all kinds of amazing things and written a great book that you have to hear about. But most recently, in 2022, she completed the Retirement Management Advisor Program with the Investments and Wealth Institute, which is a special certification, an advanced certification for financial professionals that help them to build personalized retirement income plans with strategies to manage the challenges of today's world alongside proven solutions from the past. Kathleen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I love what you do, Christine.
Oh, thank you. And the same back to you. Before we started, I wanted to hear about all kinds of things. I want to hear about why you decided to focus on the second half, the second 50 years. Might not even be, it might be the second 2/3, right? The second third. But why you decided to focus on that. But first, I want to kind of pick up where we were talking before we started the recording, which was about entrepreneurs who are trying to make that transition away from that 9-to-5 W-2 security and to finally launch that side hustle, finally, really dive into something that's more of a passion project for them that might not have the financial stability, might, meet. And how do you know that you're in a good place and that you're not going to be bankrupting your family if you make that really kind of scary move?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And my heart goes out to the people who are thinking that they want to do that, because I personally think it's very, very possible in today's world. I would start with, we always look at 3 things that are going to make a great second 50, because it falls right into this. And by the way, it is second 50 because I believe a lot of people are going to live a lot longer, many of them, than just a second 50 years. So I never say second half.
Yeah, good. We're the same on that.
Right. I believe that it really starts with financial confidence. So in order to take a step like that, you need a certain degree of clarity around what you have, and especially how you might unlock an income stream from the wealth that you created. So no matter where you're at, all that money or whatever you've done to build wealth, whether you bought some property, it's a means to an end, right? And the end is that someday it's going to be able to support you and you can stop earning income. Work becomes optional. Some people have already stopped. Maybe some people have been forced out of their job, but no matter what. So you need the financial confidence by looking at your whole foundation, what's here, and what kind of an income stream can I get from what I have? And when you don't have enough, then you get to work on that as well. And so sometimes that means rearranging how you're investing, focusing on different things. And sometimes it means staying with what you are doing for a period of time. But I believe the financial confidence comes from clarity. So that's number 1. And then number 2, I think that people in today's world have new ways of looking at what I call opportunity expansion. There's really fun, new, exciting ways to explore what might be next. And I can talk about that more if you'd like later. But the third thing is, I believe we all need vitality enhancement. So once you get into your 50s or 60s or 70s, whenever you're deciding to do this, 80s, I don't think people understand how much is here to help keep us healthier, more energized, protected from disease, age-related disease. And actually also what's here is treatments for chronic diseases that before we thought would take us down. So most of this I call kind of bundle into what I call regenerative medicine. And I think people need more awareness and a platform to access so they can see how they might feel a little better every day. And with those three things, then I think almost anybody can change their second 50.
Oh, that's super. I'm glad that you brought in the idea of, if you're not feeling like you want to live to be 100 because your body is not acting the way you want it to, and, you're just miserable, you think, ugh, there's no way I'm going to last that long. To think about and to do some more research and discover what options are available to start to feel better.
I'm a huge student of that, Christine. I personally, for myself, my family, my friends, but now I've expanded it all to hopefully into the client base and a community, because so much is here right now that we can use. And I don't believe that people, especially busy people in their second 50, have had a chance to really dive in. And even if they do start looking around, you don't know who to believe.
That's for
And
sure.
you also often need to write a check or get out your credit card to take advantage of these things.
Right.
So I believe you really hit the nail on the head. It's really not about a longer life. It's about a better, longer life. And the buzzword today is health span. So everybody says, well, you're going to have a longer lifespan, but everybody says, I'd rather have a longer health span. So you want
Right.
to feel well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely true. So well, let's see. There's so many different things to think about in that conversation, because the first thing that you said was taking some of your existing assets and turning that into an income stream. And a lot of people think, well, I'm not 59 and a half, I'm not 72, whatever. I'm not going to have these alternate um, income streams, but that's not actually the case, right? If you've planned it well. Do you want to, where do you want to go next? What would you like to sort of
No,
continue? How would you like to continue the conversation?
I do understand what you're saying there, because yes, retirement plans are the typical way that people save. And especially millennials, because that was kind of the way that, the path you were given. Boomers, the next generation, tend to have some more wealth outside of that, or at least have wealth in their equity in their homes. So I would say what's important again is to take a look. So if you only have those retirement plans, then understand that everything that comes out of them is about 75% of what you put in, right? And this is a great time. I don't care how old you are, it's never a wrong time to start understanding what you might do to improve your situation on that side. As far as the income stream, there might not be passive income available to you. So again, we never suggest that people take a massive risk and jump out of what they're doing. What we do believe is that you can carve out the time, and there's incredible new ways to do this now, to explore the additional idea that you have for a new life in the second 50. Don't let the dream go just because you can't support yourself another way.
Right. Or you haven't figured out yet how to do that.
And work on it. Yeah. Start with the strategy. Some days now. So might
Right.
as well start.
So then now I think is a good time to talk about the premise, or the name actually, and the whole design of your company. Why Second 50?
Right. I have spent many years involved with some great communities of big thinkers, and then the big thinkers have helped me become more successful because I had that community and I had access to knowledge and resources that I never would have had. And what I started noticing, we have so many clients in their second 50 years, and it didn't feel like they had that same community, that they had people to talk to and support the idea that they might want to do something else, because often you get a lot of pushback when you have a lot of responsibility, you know, don't take that risk, don't get out there and do that. So that's one thing, as a community. And if you don't mind, I'll just take a moment and share that I got really passionate about this because my own father was somebody who, he wanted to live a very long time, and he wanted to continue moving and changing the world his entire life. And because he'd never had a strategy, no one told him he needed a different kind of plan for when he stopped his practice. It didn't happen. And he continued to build wealth. He built wealth and he didn't have debt, but he never had a strategy and it didn't work. So when he was suddenly forced out, it was very disappointing to see that he couldn't have a lifestyle. So that was one thing. And that's why I'm adamant that I believe everybody's better off with a strategy. Either do it yourself or get some great professionals together, but you should have one. And then the second thing is because of him, I think I grew up believing that we could do anything we wanted whenever we wanted. So he was very much looking forward to, as he turned 80, his new consulting job in Palm Springs that he was working on. And it may have happened if he had not passed. But so I started believing too, I think if people had help exploring another idea, that they could do a lot better. I mean, I know it's very hard to do alone. And so that was behind, my dad was behind that as well. And then the third prong, which is vitality and health, was also him, because he took good care of himself. And what took him away was something we could have found and controlled. So, yeah, so that sort of put me on this path to this.
Excellent. And a lot of people feel like once they reach the first 50, that it's a little late to start doing their financial plan. I forget the statistics. You may know them, the amount of baby boomers who it's like 70% of them don't have enough money to, they can't afford to stop working, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
Is it like hopeless at this point when you think about the time value of money? And obviously it's better to start when you're 5 years old, but
Of course. And it is better, but many people start late. I would say this is where it comes in, where you need to look at opportunity expansion and health to keep yourself vibrant and aware of what you might be able to do with your life to create income. I think income planning is, again, it's essential no matter what your age is, but if you don't have it, then we need to step back and look at that opportunity expansion and say, where else could you possibly get it from? And I've always been a huge believer in real estate. So I think a lot of people who have homes and perhaps didn't save and don't have enough, they may have to start looking at some options for how they can create some income along the lines of their real estate and then expand from there. I think there's always a way to make things better. I really do.
absolutely true. And I'm also a big fan of real estate, being a real estate broker myself and loving real estate investing.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's the
one of my hats.
Mhm. It's one of the most brilliant ways to build equity, have tax efficiency, and gain an income stream later in life. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, when you were talking about the fact that this, you've got an aging couple or an aging person and they just have maybe just their primary residence, how can that become a wealth stream? Especially now where if they were to sell that and try to like downsize or right size, as we call it, they're going to be selling their 2.85% mortgage to get themselves into a 7.1% or whatever, right? So it's not necessarily a good play for people at this moment to change to change anything about their housing unless they're thinking of renting for a while. But could you talk a little bit more about your thoughts about how real estate could be helpful in people's wealth planning or income
sure.
planning?
There really isn't a one size fits all. So we have a lot of people that have a very low tax basis in their home.
Yeah.
And so if they did sell, they would have this enormous tax bill to pay, which knocks out a lot of the wealth that they created in the home. So depending on if they have a great mortgage and they're staying in, they could perhaps consider some of the alternatives for Airbnb or VRBO. We have really successful high net worth clients who have found an amazing ability to unlock some of their wealth and get access to it by doing that. I know it isn't ideal and it depends on what kind of place you have. I also have clients. I have a client who got divorced and has a child and is 60 and still paying for things. And she's looking at, her child's going to be going off to high school. She's looking at a roommate to rent out a part of her house to bring in some extra income for the time being till she can make more decisions, you know. Yeah. So that
A house
those
hack.
right. And then for some, sometimes you could consider an exchange, a 1031 exchange into income producing properties. And depending on how the numbers look, if your home is, you know, worth a decent amount of money, you can create an income and you can rent for a while and make decisions on what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think
Mhm.
about what seems like I stayed with a couple in San Francisco. They had a lovely home. They were educators, like thinking of, sort of on the verge of retiring. I think they were starting to work part-time, but they were loving doing the Airbnb. They had just, taken their son went off to college. They took his room, turned it into an Airbnb, and they said, they were just so excited as they were talking about all the different people they've met from all over the world and how much fun it was. And of course, it's supplementing their income by quite a nice amount. So it's not, I don't, I hope people don't think of it necessarily as a sacrifice, especially like your friend who's divorced now and her son's leaving. She might be feeling a little empty nesty, but if she starts like meeting some international cool people who, right? I mean, it could be a whole nother chapter. And certainly like the income just becomes a side benefit of meeting lots of cool people who you might go stay with them now, in another, when you go on vacation or whatever. So
No, it's a really viable option that a lot of people, oh, I could never do that. Some of them is just closed mindset and others just don't think it's possible. But I think if you're looking at income strategies, you're going to look at a lot of things that you may not have thought were possible, see what works.
yeah, I would actually just take a total self-serving detour. And if anyone is listening to this and thinking that that might be a really cool thing, to go to my other podcast, which is Women Creating Wealth. And the whole beginning of that series is talking about house hacking, how to take your existing home and turn it into a viable income producing property, where we get into lots of tips about that. And the couple from San Francisco come up because they were such a super example of that in action. But I want to go back to something that you said, not that you said, but the way that you phrase this, because I think it's important and I want to talk more about it. People always talk about about wealth, right? You're building wealth, but you're talking about an income stream, and that's not necessarily the same thing, right? You've got wealth is it's like a big pool of money that's sitting there, but if you've got the income stream, maybe you don't need to have that big pile of cash sitting there. Can you just talk a little bit about your definition and differentiation of those two terms?
Right. That's 100% the mindset shift that people have to go through when they're deciding that they want to either change careers, stop working, or make work optional. It's not about how much wealth there is sitting in places. It's about the income for
Yeah.
sure. Uh, and we look at that very seriously. So that's one of the reasons why we started our own firm a couple of years ago, because in the institutions and then we were partnerships in an RIA, not all financial people believe that you can step outside of stocks and bonds and retirement plans and performance. We believe that once you get into the second 50, certainly by the time you're in your 60s, you should be looking at wealth preservation and income. Extremely, extremely important. Certainly you want some growth, but the income planning part becomes such a major player. And like I said before, why else do we have the wealth? It's mostly to an end, right? So I'm certainly for legacy and contribution, but first and foremost, yes, it's that income plan. So we have had to put a lot of different softwares and tools together to help people look at that because my CFP planning tools don't take everything into account.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, I know a lot of people in the financial services industry don't like things that aren't stocks and bonds. They don't want to talk about real estate. They don't want to talk about, why this could make sense. But when you stop thinking about, oh, okay, I need $5 million to retire, which is, if you do the 4% calculation is what I need. And I know the 4% isn't even worth, isn't even any good actually. If you're now I've heard, oh no, it's only 3 or whatever, because right, your stocks go down 50%. They have to go up 100% just to get back to where you were. And difficult if you're spending it down, right? So you get into this whole issue. Whereas if I just have a piece of property and my folks are paying rents every month, that's my income, and I don't have to worry about what's going on in my stock portfolio. I can wait and take money out when it goes back up on its own or whatever, when good things are happening. It's a good time to sell, right?
It's true. It's a very customized and strategic type of planning around wealth at this time, because you certainly do want passive income or income coming from somewhere. And there are some great places that you can get it depending on your current level of wealth, right? But alongside that, we always believe in liquidity. So we've seen a lot of people. My dad was one of those who had everything in real estate and didn't have the liquidity he needed. So, and you don't want to be forced to sell, and do things. So yeah, there's a lot of a very careful consideration in everyone's situation so that we can look at this to set up those income streams, have liquidity for emergencies, have backup plans. And then there's always the big stuff, that could come into your life, like long-term care for yourself or your family. So there's a lot of, I think for most people, you do want to get professional help. And, whoever you're working with, to just sit down and have big conversations as you're building this wealth is like, just show me how much income I'm going to be able to take. And can you stress test it? Because as you pointed out, we take some big drops. Volatility is here to stay. So what's the plan B during that time? And then what happens to me in the long run from there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like your firm is somewhat unique in that multi-pronged approach, right? If you speak to it's that adage, right? If the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail, right? And that is so true when you're talking about anything to do with wealth. Real estate agents only want to talk about real estate. Financial planners only want to talk about stocks and bonds. And then you've got the life insurance person. And then you got, right. So a regular human is like, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to hope to die before my money runs out. That's my plan. Right?
I know it's so hard to trust
Yeah,
because it is like that. And then, I know some great people in those other industries who do promote what they do, but they honestly believe in it.
of course.
They think it's the best thing. Um, so we don't do that. So we really do want to look at everything. That's why the planning became such a major focus.
Yeah,
And then, like I said, as we started planning around all the things we wanted to look at for clients, none of the softwares were offering what we needed. So stepping into that, we brought in some tools, but now what we're really excited about is artificial intelligence. So there's
absolutely.
even
You can
better
really
tools.
fire up those tools now.
Yeah. Yes, really get some great, yeah, very exciting. So, and nothing's perfect. Nothing is going to go according to plan. And the other thing is that even when you have this sort of foundational clarity and plan set up, um, plan on monitoring it every single year. And even the wealthiest of people, we're looking at that every single year because things can change so dramatically. And
Absolutely.
then adjust as needed.
So tell us about your book.
So I wrote a book because I wanted people to get a message about this time in life, the second 50 years. I love what I do on the planning side. So again, I always felt like everyone needs to know what level they're at with their wealth, supporting them with a fully funded lifestyle. Are they nowhere near it, or have they accomplished it? Could use some help. Everyone needs to know. And I give a few examples in the book about things people may not have been thinking about. But financial confidence is the key. If we can get financial confidence there because you have clarity and strategy, then we look at what can we do next. So this is one of my favorite parts. It's the tools now. I believe what really helps people examine the next idea is to have a connection to at least a handful of other like-minded people who are also brainstorming around this, and start using some of the very simple what's the word? The very simple strategies for using artificial intelligence, because you can extract some really fun ideas from there that even I would have never thought of before. And that's a big part of what I call opportunity expansion, is open your mind and start to get familiar with AI, which in my community, we call it augmented intelligence, not artificial. Augmented, and it's always learning.
Yeah.
So use some of the new tools and create a community where you can connect and talk and learn. And I actually did a few workshops last year after I was working on the book to see if people liked it. And I believe most people will. And I saw that everyone that was in those workshops did. And then the third reason I wrote it was, again, it was about enhancing your vitality and your health span. So you're not going to want to launch something new and then have some illness take you down. Or perhaps it's always in your mind, your heart wants to do that, but you don't feel well enough to really go for it. I would say it is time to take a look outside the box. I fully believe in traditional medicine. I come from a family of dentists and orthodontists. So we're very, very much there. And I believe that there's going to be a wonderful integration as we move forward between all of the traditional medicine and then what's called the more of the functional medicine side, where they're looking for the root cause. Never one without the other, but I wrote in the book a little bit about it because what I discovered, and I was stunned, is those simple things people always talk about, like sleep and movement and diet, are incredible. And a lot of people think they want to sleep better, but it's just not always that easy. There's crazy fun things you can do with that now. So I have a ring that I wear that measures my sleep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that helped me tremendously, because I really started practicing some things that would help me sleep better, and it's been pretty life-changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some simple things in the book about that, but in my world, what I hoped the book would do is get people inspired to come together around those three principles and consider creating communities. My goal is to bring second 50 people together, and let's explore these things together. Let's learn. So we'll see. But that was it. The book is about a message. You can do it.
Yeah, that's the message we all want to hear, right?
Mhm.
It's not too late. There's hope. And yeah, I
No.
would add water to that. I mean, you said food, and I know you meant, what goes into your body in the same
Yeah.
breath. And it's just astonishing when you start to read and understand like all the things that happen to your body when you're not sleeping well, what the lack of, not having enough water can cause depression, right? I mean, who knew? All you need to do is drink, a gallon of water and you're not going to be depressed anymore. I mean, they're things that we just don't talk about. And I don't think you're going to walk into a physician's office and he's going to say, oh, don't worry. You don't need to give me any money. Just go drink some more water, right? Or even just go lose 30 pounds, because the rash I've been hearing lately is everybody needs to have there's a new thing. It's not a lap band. It's some kind of a pill or an injection or something that's going to make you lose weight. And it's just like,
Yeah.
right? It's not the weight, it's the crap that's put the weight on.
It's all the pharmaceuticals. And that's the thing in my world we're all trying to get off of. So I'm a huge lifelong learner on this. And I was just at a conference. It's called Abundance 360.
Mhm.
And they have people from around the world talking about things. And I love how it always, like you said, comes back to the basics. But there's more and more fun ways of enhancing breathing, sleeping, the kind of water that we drink. And I think people do need help in curating some of that, and trying some new methods to see if it can help jumpstart it. Because it's one thing to say, sleep better,
Yeah,
but
right. Get
and
on that, will you?
it's just boring as heck sometimes.
Well, and also people think that means sleep longer, right? You
Yeah.
you need to get 8 hours of sleep, which, is not necessarily true for everyone. And right, it's what's more important is restful sleep, restorative sleep.
Yeah, and start small. If you could just add one or two things into your day, that's terrific. And if you get up feeling a little bit better, there's the reward. If you've done all your financial strategies and planning and you have some extra dollars, then you may want to invest in a couple things. There's some phenomenal new blood tests out there. So easy to do. They're not prescription,
Yeah.
and they'll, analyze every nutrient and chemical. You can get your hormones, all of that. It's extremely beneficial. But yeah, I mean, I just did a whole panel myself and none of it was covered by insurance. So
Of course.
you have to go to check.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to even go down the whole rabbit hole of, insurance and health and, that they're more about fixing problems, right? Than
Yeah.
keeping you healthy, because that's, you don't want to heal all your clients. Like I tell clients when I'm teaching them how to do real estate investing, I'm like, my goal is to work myself out of a job here because I want you to be able to be, and that's not, I don't think any doctor is going to say, look, I don't want you to need me anymore ever again, right? I just don't, it's the majority. But when you were talking, I was laughing to myself because I went to a conference this morning. It was the Lowell Women's Week. So it's a nearby town, actually, where that building we were talking about is located. They're having a women's week. And at the end of the conference, after they had honored everyone and done everything, and we'd all had a really horrible, unhealthy breakfast, we had a person came up, and the way they closed the meeting was with, exercise and stretching and breathing. And I said to the girl next to me, I said, you would never see this at a men's conference.
No, it's funny though, Christine, they do it. They're doing it at my abundance conference. And
It's
uh,
fantastic.
yeah, the world is changing quite a
Yeah.
bit. It depends on who's in the room.
Right.
And
Exactly. That's true. Abundance 360 is going to attract a certain group of people, right? And the same thing with this women's conference, it's attracting a certain group of people. And those are people who are up for the idea of, hey, if I breathe more, maybe it's going to change my day and it's going to make my day better.
just open your mind, right? We've been living a certain way our whole life, and some of it seems a little goofy and stupid at first. But it's honestly, the world is really changing. And I think and I hope that people are realizing they can have more really significant personal fulfillment during this time. They can also have a greater contribution to what they really care about
Yeah.
than they ever thought possible. So much is possible now. I mean, it's never been a more exciting or more complex time. And I'm not going to be a Pollyanna and say that we don't have a lot of challenges in front of us, but it's never been a better time to be in this age group than it is now, in my view.
Amen to that. I love that. I'm very happy with that. I was actually looking at myself this morning at the gym and I said, can you believe you're 60? I can't believe it. I'm like healthier and happier and more like energetic than I ever was when I was 40. So I'm really happy about it.
So that's so great. Yep. And I hope that so many more people feel like that. We're in a time of age reversal. It's really not just about living longer. It really is about age reversal. And it's been discovered that it's a disease and it's why we get disease. So it's going to be fun. And what I was told at the conference, I've been told this before, don't do something stupid and die over the next 5 to 8 years. That's
You
what
don't want to miss this.
because in 5 to 8 years, the solutions, the treatments that are coming will be astounding. And it's all the things we're afraid of in this age group. It's cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's. Those are the significant, the big breakthroughs that are coming and during our lifetime. So,
Amazing and
oh,
fun and exciting.
we're gonna need to finance a longer life. So
Exactly. Exactly. It's not a good plan just to die before your money runs out. Let's have a plan B for that.
Plan B, yes, and I would love to listen to your other podcast because I like what you're doing on that one regarding the real estate. It's again, it's working with people with closed minds and trying to get them to broaden their perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Thank you for saying that.
Mhm.
So, Kathleen, you already gave some great advice, which is don't die in the next 5 to 8 years and miss all the fun that's coming. But what would you tell people? Like, what do you want to leave people with, or what's a question that you wish I would have asked you that we haven't touched on?
I think I think we really touched on it, but I believe that you can just have a better, longer life than you ever thought possible. I really believe that. And it is never going to be all about money, but I think as you and I agree, it's very difficult to look forward to that time frame if you don't have your health and if you don't have the ability to support yourself.
Absolutely.
So look at all of it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's not going to be any worse because you're looking at it. This is what it is. And then work at it from there. And please think about taking advantage of the new tools that are out there with artificial intelligence, because they really are going to be a lot of fun. And if you have an interest in that, I am going to be doing some more things around that, and I'll let you know what that's going to be, because I think it's going to excite a lot of second 50 people, especially those that are looking for that new idea,
Excellent.
being able to use this.
That's a good cliffhanger. I love it. So Kathleen, how can people reach you if they want to? They're like, oh my God, she's speaking my language. I need to talk to this person. I need to get my financial act together so that I can have a fantastic second 50.
I would love to talk to you, and it doesn't matter if you need financial help or have a planner. If you just want to talk about any of this, please do contact me. LinkedIn is great, but so is just going to my website or going to just sending me an email. So it's Kathleen, it's K Adams at second50financial.com. And I promise you, I would always enjoy having a conversation around any of this. So,
And you're wonderful to talk to, obviously.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
And your parents have given you a beautiful smile.
Dentist. Right.
All the dentists and orthodontists in your family have done a great job.
Exactly. Thank you.
Excellent. And all that will be in the show notes. And so thank you so much, Kathleen, for being with us today. I really found this to be a very fun and exciting conversation about like what's possible, all the things that are possible for us in this second 50.
Thank you, Christine. And I think because we're so aligned in what we're doing, that we have a future of more conversations or actions together, because I think it's a good synergy.
Excellent. Me too. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, listener, for listening. I want you to sit down right now and think of 5 people, make a list, 5 people who you know who are either in their second 50 or they're approaching their second 50 and they're feeling not that confident about it, not that excited about it. And I want you to share this episode with them because they will thank you. And of course, we will thank you. In the meantime, have a fabulous week.